It's September, spider season. Summer has outstayed its welcome, the perpetual hum of winged beasts fraying her nerves as she practices looking over her shoulder again. A house spider appears first. Its web is a perfect feat of engineering that spans the width of the back door, granting her permission to remain inside. The house spider's endorsement triggers an influx of new webs. They begin to overlap across the glass panels, tapestries of death and industry. There is a false widow that she knows she really ought to remove, but she is moved by how it scuttles into the cloud-like nest of its web as she approaches, fearful of predators. I won't dust you away, she promises. The spiders grow fat on the creatures they catch, studding their gossamer cathedrals with the night spoils. A tiny black and yellow corpse dangles amidst the graveyard of flies, rotating ponderously on a silken string, like a warning. Instinctively, she reaches for the panic alarm in her pocket, runs her thumb over the button, flicks a glance toward the knife block on the counter. As the nights grow colder and the date marked with X looms closer, she knits fine webs of grey wool that cascade over her knees, carpeting the floor beneath her feet. She wraps herself in one of her creations and steps onto the front porch just for a second. The cool air brushes her face with its fingertips for the first time in weeks. Over by the back door, her miniature army spins and waits and pounces, toiling through the night, counting down the days. She pulls her web tight around her and feels the throb of venom in her jaws. And that's that one.
By asking you, Katie, about brevity, because obviously I first got to know you because you're very prolific as a flash fiction writer, and obviously, you know, and I've noticed that you were kind of winning and being shortlisted in lots of kind of competitions and publications and things. And I guess the stories in this collection, I suppose you did tell me how long the longest one was and how short the shortest one was. But I guess quite a few of them do fall into that flash category. So I guess, which is it's quite unusual to see a collection of those together, so it's really great that there is one. And I just wondered if you can talk a bit about what kind of draws you to that really condensed form, or what kind of got you into it?
So, well, first of all, I really wanted to get flash in there because I think it's really great to see, for example, the Edge Hill Short Story Prize, they long listed some flash collections this year, which I thought was brilliant. I feel like 1 year a flash collection won. So it's just, I really want to put more flash into kind of as mainstream as we can get it. Really, the reason I started writing flash was through necessity at first. And I know that Laura will really relate to this. I really started writing seriously when I had my son. And so necessarily I didn't have much time. It was like the time of a nap. I really had always kind of written and dabbled in writing, but I hadn't really dedicated myself to it. And I think being pregnant and starting to, you know, a new phase of my life starting crystallized it, and now that you actually have to do it, otherwise you'll never do it. So I did start writing, and it meant that, you know, I could achieve something. I could get 300 words out in a short space of time. They might not have been that good, but it kind of, I was like, oh, I've written a little something. I didn't even really know what flash was. So first of all, that's why I did get into it. But then the more I kind of studied it and read other people's work and learnt more about it, I kind of enjoyed the challenge of being able to tell like a whole story in such a short space. Because I think when you've got more space to write, you're like, oh, I can deal with that later kind of thing. Whereas every word has to count and work hard. So it's kind of something I've kind of naturally progressed into as my son's got older. I've progressed into writing more like short stories and things like that. But I still think it's a really good way to kind of deliver a short, sharp piece, especially if you're, you know, there's a couple of pieces in the book that deal with like trauma or whatever. And it's like, as you say, you just kind of go in and out, and then the feeling is still there for the reader. So, well, I hope it is anyway. But it's, you know, you can still get someone to think about something without kind of bogging them down, if you like.
The first one is a piece that was published in Selkirk Station. It's just a 100-word story, and it's called Pièce de Résistance. Blooms of rumours ripen on the vine. I decide this time we're through and pen you a letter. You tell me I'm your muse, your lover, your first reader. Never do you acknowledge that I break and reshape your words until they grow and blossom into something more beautiful than you could ever write. Only then are those words published, under your name alone. I rant and rage on the page, this my masterpiece. Tears fall, ink spreading like foxglove bells, and I know, like I know you are as poisonous as picture pretty flowers, that I will never walk away.